Hey guys! So I've got these beautiful navy blue envelopes to do some envelope addressing. They're one of my favorite things to do for weddings or events. I'm actually an event calligrapher and I enjoy doing all of these things for events. Check out my website and Instagram for the stuff I have done in the past. I shall do a process video of how I address envelopes. So the envelopes have been provided by the bride-to-be. We're gonna be using gold ink on this, which I think is really beautiful. So I've done a few and they look really lovely. So the bride only wants names on the envelopes and no addresses. I've got this amazing gold ink on hand. So it's Dr. P.H. Martin's iridescent ink. The main thing about these inks, they're really beautiful, but you gotta consider the metallic component. They settle down at the bottom, and no matter how much you shake, it's just gonna create like a lot of air bubbles in there, as you can see. And the glittery part is just still settled at the bottom. You can actually get stirrers online to mix the ink properly, but because I'm lazy and I try to be resourceful, I've settled for this coffee stirrer stick thing. So I do the painstaking task of mixing the whole thing manually, and I try to roll it between my palms like this, like you're mixing antibiotics in the ward. So it comes with a dropper, which is amazing. You don't have to dip the pen inside. And sometimes the ink dries up in the dropper. So what I do is I get a paper clip and try to clear the opening of the dropper as much as I can. So that's the new way of prepping Dr. P.H. Martin's iridescent calligraphy colors ink. And we're going to be using Copperplate gold, and this is one of my favorite gold inks so far. So the next tool that I use is a ruled cutting mat, because I can't write straight for shit. I got this from Daiso, which is like a Japanese dollar store, but they have really good stuff there. And they come in different sizes, but I got the biggest one I could find. Next is a laser liner, so I'll turn that on for you. So what I do with this is, I grab an envelope, I position it. I just use the rulings on the cutting mat to make sure that the envelope or the whatever I'm working on is even, and then I just use the guidelines to kind of map out where I need the rulings to be. This looks about the middle of the envelope. So I got this laser liner from eBay. The thing with laser liners, they kind of hurt my eyes, so I try to use them less. Before I started using laser liners, I would grab a ruler and rule where I want the names to be, and then rub it off at the end. But then paranoid me, because I don't want to smudge the ink. I know the ink dries, but you know, I just feel so paranoid. And of course, to position our envelopes or pieces properly, we've got some washi tape. So what I do, I just stick them here. I actually reuse these pieces because they come off really easily and you can use them again. And I've also got this envelope drying rack, and you just let your envelopes dry like that. Sometimes I get so paranoid that I only do maybe 4 at a time. I get so scared that the flaps might touch the envelope behind it and ruin the ink and everything. And last but not least, so I've got the Creations Moblique holder. I use these for my workshops. They're very nice. I like the texture. It's very smooth and the grip's good. It doesn't slide. I like using this as an oblique holder. One of my favorite calligraphy pointed pen nibs are the Nikko G nib. It's one of the sturdiest nibs that I've used. So this is my setup for envelope addressing, and let's get started. So before I actually write down the names in gold ink on the envelopes, I usually do practice runs before I do the final work, because I want to see where the names go, which positions the names look better in. I've done a few practice runs. I just put some tick marks on the set of names that I actually like. This is one of my favorite types of practice paper. So it's a blank Rhodia pad. It holds ink really well, even inky brush pens. And I've got beautiful walnut ink from one of the workshops I went to late last year. I'm gonna be shooting a time-lapse video of me practicing the names, and then the gold envelopes will be in real time. So yeah, as you can see, I've done some of them a couple of times or a few times just to make sure that it looks good, and just so I have a reference while I'm doing the actual thing. I still get really nervous whenever I do the final work. I get so paranoid, am I gonna be able to do it right? Sometimes I have to make certain adjustments because I don't do it exactly the same as this. And for us calligraphers, it's really important for us to warm up our hands, otherwise we'd be all shaky and stuff. So we usually do drills before we actually do the work, just so our muscles will loosen up. So yeah, let's get started. Let's do the real thing. So yes, here's my setup, and as you know, my workspace is tilted at an angle because I like writing at an angle. And I've got my laser liner here. Turn it on and make sure that it's level. Use the washi tape to place the envelope firmly on the cutting mat. To make sure that I write the name on the proper side of the envelope, I just lift the flap just to be sure that I'm writing it correctly, and that it's not upside down or anything, because I made that mistake before. And yeah, let's do this. beautiful is the gold ink on navy blue. So anyway, a few tips from me. So whenever you're gonna be using ink that you've never really used before, like I haven't really used Dr. P.H. Martin much, I suggest you practice using this ink because some inks vary in viscosity. This can be a bit viscous and it might collect on the nib. And when you start writing, there could be like blobs of ink on the paper, which wouldn't look good on the actual material you're going to be using. So I recommend practicing on practice paper, getting in the feel of the ink and the nib. And in terms of placing the names, so what I do is I actually try and write as far left as much as I can, because if you start as far left as you can and then you see that there's actually a bit more space that you have anticipated, you can actually just spread your letters out a little bit. Whereas when you start more towards the right and then you cramped for space, you're gonna have to cramp your letters in a bit. I guess it depends on the style, because my style is usually bounced. The letters are a little bit far apart. And when I notice that the two names won't fit in one line, I just eyeball like where the middle is and just write underneath it. And, oh, and very, very important, warm up and practice to feel more confident, because I still get really nervous as fuck whenever I do the actual piece I need to do. So yeah, I hope that was informational for you. If you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, questions about like other stuff that I haven't touched on with envelope addressing, or any comments or suggestions about what you want to see, what other process videos you want to see, please let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, night, or afternoon wherever you are. See ya!